Yo, what's up? What's up, everybody? How's it going? Um, yeah. Oh, let me make sure that. Okay, hold on. Okay. Oof. Are we good? Did it pop up? All right, we're good. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna start. We'll start this. What's up, people? What up, Beer Ski? How's it going, man? What's up, Chef? What's up? How you guys doing tonight? So tonight, you'll see that I'm not with a guest. And it's day 30. And I kind of decided it would be fun. I wanted to leave this final day open because I thought it would be fun if everyone that I interviewed sent me a question and pretty much interviewed me. So I reached out to everyone that I interviewed after I interviewed them and asked them for at least one question to send to me. And so tonight I will be interviewed by all of them. I thought that would be kind of a cool way to wrap this up. And I'm very excited. I kind of skimmed the questions that came in, but I just put them all on a sheet and I haven't really thought about them all that much. So they will be pretty much fresh. We did get one video question. I did transcribe it to text, but maybe if I can figure out how to bring it up, we'll watch the video question that was sent to me. But yeah, it should be cool. It should be fun, I hope. And you guys will learn a little bit more about me than you might not already know, except I'm pretty sure you probably already know everything. But we got a lot of great questions. So, but yeah, I hope everyone's doing well tonight. We have Beer Ski hopping in. We got Chef hopping in. What's up? We got Dan, Catch 'em All Collectibles. Are you all caught up, Dan? Or where are you in the watch list? I feel like I've seen your comments work your way through episodes. I'm pretty sure you're close, if not already there. So yeah, thank you for watching all of them. Thank you for commenting. It's been very fun watching all that. Thank you for your support. Pokey Chef, 30 more chats. Hell no. Someone else in the community has got to do 30 chats, 31 chats. Someone's got to one up me, all right? That's what someone has to do. Someone else has to do 31 chats in a row. And then yeah, but not me. I got too much going on. Not me. You fully caught up. Hell yeah, dude. What's up, Hoodoo? How's it going? What's up, Boondock Games? Welcome in. Okay. So obviously you guys can ask your questions in chat as normal, but the questions that I really have to get to are the ones that were sent in by everyone who I interviewed. So I got a whole list of questions that the people that I interviewed sent in to interview me, essentially. That's what we're doing tonight. Beerski, thank you very much for the $1.99. I appreciate that, man. Java is a beast. 30 days, 30 lives. Congrats. Yes, we are almost done. Technically done on the interview part, but now I get to answer some questions. So that'll be fun. I've got probably half. Got a nice little backlog to work through, though. Hell yeah. That's awesome. I'm glad, they don't get the most views, which is totally fine with me, but there's been so much positive response to a lot of the interviews, and I'm glad to see like so many people come out and be supportive of the people that I talk to. And hopefully you guys got to know more about people in the space that maybe you've seen in the past or seen somewhere before, but you didn't really know anything about them because they're not on YouTube or you haven't watched their content before. So hopefully I was able to introduce you to somebody new, somebody cool, because all 29 of the people that I talked to, I think are very cool people. And if I didn't get to talk to you, if I didn't reach out to you, I'm sorry. There's only so many days in a 30-day time span, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to chat. But yeah, it was very fun. I'm glad everyone kind of got into it, and to get as many questions back as I did, I wasn't sure if I was going to get that many questions back, but I think I got like 24 or 25 of the 29 people sent me a question. So on top of putting the time aside to come on and do a live on a particular day so that it fits my schedule for the 30 days. And then on top of that, nearly everybody sent me a question. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, it's very crazy. So I appreciate everybody who made this possible, basically. Congrats, Java. What's up, Dark Ibex? This has been an awesome series. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Pokemage. All right. Well, we can hop into the first question then if we want. Please explain how Ray was the worst interview and why. This is his brother. How's it going, man? Sure. no, Ray was great. Everyone I talked to was great. I don't feel like I had a bad interview. If anything, I there's probably interviews where I felt tired or something and I cut it short. Like I kind of felt bad with Peak That Choose interview because we only went like an hour, but we also started really late. But Peak didn't get as much time as some other people. So, but I think overall, I'm pretty happy with all the interviews, and hopefully everyone else is very happy with all the interviews and how they went. But all right, the first question. Actually, I'm going to put these on I should be able to put these on the screen, I think. Oh, what a topical question. I want to say this was sent in before some recent stuff. So pretty crazy that this question was sent in before some recent events, but I will answer it. I'm answering all of them tonight. So this is the first question. Oh, it didn't fit all on one line. Okay, the first question from DeGreen Shiz. A perfect dream space becomes available for lease for you to create a storefront. It's not available until August this year. What are you going to do between now and then to get yourself prepared? Was the last word. I wish I had until August. So if I had 3 months to prepare for a space that was opening up, I don't know. I think I would sell most everything that I didn't want to use as inventory, or I would sell, let's say if I had 5 of a given card in a PSA 10, I would sell 3 of them so that I had 2 for store inventory, but 2 for 3 that I could sell and, make some money back. I would make sure that I had both English and Japanese singles available because I know a lot of people in the area like the English. They like the Japanese, but they like the English as well. So I would put in some effort to try and get some English inventory as well as the Japanese inventory. Obviously you'd have to start looking at glass displays. You'd have to start figuring out how to Dan, oh man. You'd have to start figuring out how to lay that place out. You'd have to start measurements. You'd have to start figuring out what you could put where, the how you can create the most space for the most amount of people to comfortably walk through and take a look at everything. You have to figure out insurance and if you have to get internet hooked up and all that stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I could do given 30 days. And I may be doing right now in a very very tight timetable, comparatively. So, or if I had 3 months. So yeah, that's what I would do. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I don't really think you could start approaching distribution until you have stuff set up, because usually they like to have like displays or usually they like to have like pictures of the inside and the outside. So you'd probably want some signage and some stuff set up so you look like an actual operating store before you start actually reaching out to distribution. So those are all the things that I would be doing. I would be reaching out to friends who I know do certain things. Like if I want bulk, I would start reaching out to streamer friends for potential bulk plays. I would start reaching out to potentially people with distribution to see if they could help, front me some packs for a while. I would reach out to people like Hoodoo TCG who specialize in plushies and accessories and stuff like that, and kind of learn how to navigate those different websites to get stuff in so that you can sell more than just cards. You can sell plushies and accessories and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, there's a ton of stuff you could do. There's so much. There's so much. So that's all stuff that I would do if I was going to open a store anytime soon. Yeah, that's all stuff that I would do. Thank you very much for the question, Greeny. I appreciate it. All right, we got Dark Ibex with the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Ibex. Let's see who got them. Navi Station, Ray, Shining Cards and Collectibles, Micknick, Lurkin Lowry, and Data Driven Swimming. Welcome, guys. And thank you very much, Dark Ibex, for the 5 memberships. Dan with the $30. $30 for 30 days. Bigger days coming. Big days are definitely coming. I'm excited and horrified, and it'll be fun. It'll be interesting. And Hoodoo with the 2. We hitting this goal today? Maybe. I think we only need two more donos to hit the goal. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Okay. So I hope that answered that. I think it did, Greeny. Thank you very much for sending in the question. The next question is from Nick Old School Pokemon. Nick Old School Pokemon. Hopefully this all shows up in one thing. All right. Shoot. All right, Nick Old School Pokemon. What's your favorite and least favorite part about streaming thus far? Anything come up that you weren't expecting that you wish you'd know about beforehand? Oh, wait a minute. Was this? Hold on. Did he have a question? I gotta look at. Oh, he did. Okay. Hold on. So this was if I had started streaming on Whatnot, but I haven't started streaming on Whatnot, so we can't really answer that question. Instead, we'll answer this question because I was talking about potentially streaming on Whatnot. All right, we'll answer this question. This is from Nick Old School Pokemon. Do you have any, or what are your long-term goals, 2 to 3 year business goals? Can you see yourself opening a shop at some point? It's so crazy that all of these came in before. Okay. 2 to 3 year business goals. Can you see yourself opening a shop at some point, going full-time Pokemon? Opening a shop, I can see myself doing that at some point. Going full-time, no, not at the moment. 2 to 3 year business goals. It's so weird when it comes to business goals. Like, I like what I've been doing. I want to keep scaling, but I have more like personal financial goals than I do like Pokemon business goals. I guess one of my Pokemon business goals would be to open a shop. I guess another one of my Pokemon business goals would be to continue to scale. But on the other hand, some of my more personal goals, like I think at some point I'd like to buy a house. I think that would be nice to have a house and to pay it off and to not have that every month have to shell out some money to somebody. That would be pretty cool. That's kind of like the next big like life step if I choose to do it, is to get myself into an actual house situation. Man, Pokemon business goals. I mean, I think I don't know. 2 to 3 years from now is a long time. I would just say I hope that I'm still flipping cards. I hope that I'm still successful. And yeah, I hope I have a shop by then. And no, I don't see myself going full-time Pokemon anytime soon. But you never know when that would change. Maybe someday if I'm just swimming in the money. All right. Thank you, Nick. I'm sorry that I don't have very many 2 to 3 year business goals, but I just don't. Not that I can think of. It's more like personal finance goals. But all right. The next question is from Retrospecs. This is very similar to Nick's question. So from retrospects, have you thought about an end game for your business? What goals are you working towards? So right now, goals, kind of everything that I just talked about. So, hey, what's up, Radar? I need to set up my mic and camera so I can join conversations like this. Super fun to see all the chats you did. I appreciate you watching them, man. That's super awesome. Thank you so much, dude. Have I thought about an end game? Not really. I guess the end game for the business is, I mean, I guess if I think like super far in advance, it's like a shop setup where I have some employees, where the shop where I like facilitate a lot of the background stuff, and maybe I'm involved in like collection buys and stuff, but otherwise the shop is kind of operating at its own pace. I'd like to still be flipping just because I have fun with that. I'd like to still be making content because I like having fun with that as well. Traveling more, going somewhere other than Japan, even though I love Japan, that would be fun. Yeah, end game for business. I feel like an end game for your business is either it dies or you sell it or you retire. I don't really know how to answer end game. I guess I would like to have a functioning store, which maybe I'm there like on Saturdays or Sundays, sourcing stuff in the background, being involved in collection buys, something that's pretty self-sustainable, and successful. I don't know what else to say. And that's kind of goals I'm working toward right now too. So we'll yeah. End game. I'm not quite sure. I don't know. End game is weird. Let's see. Oh, somebody bought something. I heard the cha-ching on my phone. Oh boy, this one's definitely going to get cut off. What's up, NAMP? How's it going? Welcome. Okay, let's see. All right, I'll get rid of this first part. Okay, let's see if this fits. Please fit. Yeah, all right. I need to sit up more. My head's getting cut off. This is from Jeepster's Cards. So this was one of the pre-recorded ones that I did while I was out in Chicago. What's up, FOMO? Jeepster's Cards asked, I was actually at Jeepster's Cards place today buying a bunch of English singles. What is the most positive relationship with someone you've encountered within the realm of TCG that has led to a lasting impact on you that extends into you on a more personal level? Okay. So basically, I mean, I've made a lot of friends. This whole month is a testament to the fact that I can call 29 people. I can call at least very good acquaintances and most of them friends, which is pretty insane because before I was in Pokemon at all, I think I could really say that I didn't have many friends, especially any local friends at all. So getting into Pokemon and meeting everybody at different events and then building those relationships over the last few years definitely is a huge testament to the personal side of the hobby. Yeah, the fact that I literally get to travel 3 or 4 times a year to spend the weekend with awesome guys, hanging out, talking Pokemon cards, selling, buying, doing all that fun stuff, and we all enjoy it. And we're all in it for similar reasons, and we're all having fun. That is a unique experience that I have not had in a very long time, probably since like high school. So the last few years have been a drastic change in the friendships department and the amount that I'm actually spending time with people. I would say personally getting to know Chef has been cool. It's awesome to have a friend that's local in the area that is very uplifting and wants you to succeed. And I think we push each other and we help each other to succeed in the different things that we're trying to do in different ways. I think we benefit each other in different ways as well. So I think my type of business benefits his type of business, and his type of business benefits my type of business, which is really great. We're a complementary team, twosome, and so that's been really nice as well. Yeah, I think overall, Pokemon has been huge for the personal side of my life in all those different ways. So thank you for the question, Jeepster. Appreciate it. If you guys haven't checked out Jeepster's cards, you should. He's going to be at a show this weekend on Long Island or something like that, up in New York. It's crazy. All right, Ernie. This is Ern Collects, not Ernesto. I'll get rid of this. Yo, Felipe, appreciate it. Thank you very much for the 279 Canadian. Thank you. All right. Ernie's up with the next one. Where do you see yourself personally, physical health, relationships, geographic location in the next 5 to 10 years? What are you doing or will do to move the ball forward to meet these goals? Do I have any goals with physical health? Yes. I would love to lose weight or at least get in better shape. I do not do anything right now, really. I have not gone for, I used to go for a walk every night and get, I don't know how many steps, but it was like a couple mile walk just about every single night. Haven't been doing that recently. I definitely would like to kind of up the cardio, less downtime where I'm just sitting or, laying on the couch watching TV. I have a very sedentary lifestyle right now and it's not good. So yeah, I think for that, I would love to, I don't know if I'm at the point where I want to join a gym, but I definitely want to get out and do my walks more, maybe do walk runs more often instead of just walks, and kind of up that physical side of things. I eat pretty well in terms of diet. Sometimes I cave and I order, shitty food, and that's stupid, but I cook for myself pretty healthily and I try to stick to that. So I think if I added more of a cardio, I think that would help a lot in the physical health side of things. Relationships, don't get me started on that, man. I don't know. I have no idea. Been single for a very long time, probably going to stay that way unless something crazy happened. I'm not really putting in any effort there. I have way too much other stuff happening right now to worry about all that, but open to it if it were to happen, but I'm not really doing a lot searching, going out there looking for it. Geographic location, I can't see myself moving anywhere. Unless something like bad happened to the people where I live close to now. My grandma just moved here, so I just had dinner with her tonight and got to hang out. My parents, my mom and my stepdad live here, so it's nice to be close to family. My brother lives in Seattle. I don't think I'd want. I'd love to live closer to my brother, but I don't want to move to Seattle because shit's way too expensive on the West Coast. And my dad lives in Superior, Wisconsin, like way north Midwest, where there is pretty much nothing. So I don't think I'm a person who likes to live close to family. I'm not really a person who wants to move someplace completely away from everybody. I like supporting people. I like having a support system. So it's a good thing. I don't really see myself moving. I hate the summers here though. The summers here suck. But I don't really see myself moving anywhere. I do always joke if I got really, really rich, like if somehow I just became like a multi-millionaire, I would love to own a apartment in Tokyo and just kind of Airbnb it out or have it available for people to go if they wanted to go experience Tokyo. And then have a place that I could just travel to whenever I wanted to in Tokyo. That would be super awesome. But obviously, I'm not a multimillionaire, and that's probably never going to happen. But if it did, if I won the lottery, I would have an apartment in Tokyo that I could travel to whenever I wanted to. But yeah. All right. Thank you, Ernie. Appreciate it, man. Shug Nasty. We're kind of just going through because we have so many of these to go through. We got like at least 20 some questions, and some people sent in 3 questions. So Shug Nasty has 3 questions, and we're going to try and get to them all. There were multiple people that sent in quite a few questions. So this is the first one. Oh no, it got cut off. After talking with 30 different people, what's one thing someone said or that you learned from your discussion with them that changed the way you think about collecting, investing, or the hobby in general? So, one thing, and I've mentioned this in one of my chats already, but one thing is that, well, I learned a lot in the chat with Jake's business partner, Dylan the Faber. I learned a lot in that. I'm not a person who buys or sells in raw, like at all. But I learned a lot because he is primarily buying and selling in raw, especially at shows. And the biggest thing that I learned from that chat, apart from everything about like worlds and the gameplay and how different it is from then till now and all the cool stuff when he was like a world's champion back in 2008, that was super cool. Obviously, I learned a lot there. But I learned about the subjectivity in conditioning of raw cards and how you can use that to kind of leverage yourself in negotiation when you're buying collections or lots of raw cards or raw cards in general. So I think in that way, it's kind of cool that, you know, when I think of that, when I think of the subjectivity of condition, I freaking hate it. That's why I grade everything. Because as a seller on eBay, I don't want subjectivity of condition. I want to know it's a 10, it's a 9. I want the customer to know it's a 10 or a 9. I don't want there to be any questioning there. But there's a lot of wiggle room in the subjectivity of condition, and a lot of money can be made in that wiggle room. So that was a very interesting takeaway and something that I learned and will probably be applying to things, you know, soon. Because very interesting. I probably will be transacting in more raw cards in a little bit. So I'll have to learn about all of that. And it was fun to get that perspective during that chat. So that's the first one. The Jalen chat was really good. Yeah, super knowledgeable guy. Learned a lot in that discussion. The next one from Shug Nasty. Have the chats you've had with people this month changed the way you see your own place in the hobby? Yes. And I probably won't go into too many specifics yet because I don't know why I'm kind of putting this off. I'll probably be doing an announcement video on Monday because a lot of these questions would be great if I was public to my channel with some things that are going on, but they've been going on while I've been doing this 30 for 30. So it's been difficult for me to put out some sort of like actual announcement. So I'll put an announcement Monday and then hopefully we'll have like a Q&A or something afterward. But yes, so talking to Hoodoo TCG actually changed the way that I thought about, because I was really worried that if I was potentially going to open a store, one of the things that was drawing me back from making that decision was the fact that the friendship side of things. I didn't want to sacrifice the friendship side of things, something that I've been fostering and growing and something that I've really enjoyed over the last few years is building all these friendships with people. I don't want to sacrifice that to try to do a store, really. But talking to Hoodoo TCG, was kind of reassuring that, like, even if 3-4 times a year you close on a weekend, most of the time you're closing because you're going to a show and you're going to buy stuff and you're going to make stuff from that show and you might sell stuff at that show. You're still doing business, you're still transacting, and sure, the door's not open, but you're still making money and you're still operating as your business on those weekends. So you don't have to sacrifice the you don't have to sacrifice the fun friends part just because you potentially open a store. So I think that was a big push to be like, maybe take the plunge. So more to come on that. But yeah, that was definitely something that changed the way that I saw that scenario. Oh man, this one is tough. This one is tough. So what was your favorite hidden gem moment from the series that you think people might miss if they don't watch carefully? Oh man, that's a tough one. Hidden gem that people might miss if they don't watch carefully. Oh boy. Oh man. I have to go through and people might miss if they don't watch carefully. Jeez, I don't know. I'd really have to think about this. So many people had so many good things to say. I can't think of one particular thing that, like, the majority of people probably wouldn't have caught if it wasn't if it's not pointed out to them. No, I I can't really answer this. I'm not really sure. Nothing comes to mind, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, I do think that the whole subjectivity of conditioning, that was a very interesting discussion. And I think still to this day, and it's probably because he's not on YouTube, but that conversation has the least amount of views from any of the conversations that I had during this 30 for 30. And I think that conversation had so much beneficial chat in it that I think I highly recommend people go back and watch that one if they missed it. The Dylan Lefevre conversation. So, sorry I couldn't get that one, Shug, but hopefully I gave you the other stuff. So we have Grimer. Everyone asking about hobby goals. Grimer. How has your enjoyment of the hobby changed over time? Do you have any hobby goals you want to achieve in the future? Non-business related hobby goals. I would like to eventually have a PSA 9 or 10 or 8 or near mint raw copy of the W Stamp Dark Charmeleon. That's probably the rarest version of my favorite artwork, and that's definitely a goal that eventually I would like to have, is that card in good condition. So, I could just buy it whenever, but I do feel like it would be fun to acquire it somehow, like at a show or from a friend or something like that, So it's something that I'm kind of leaving out there that I don't want to complete just yet, is the Dark Charmeleon collection, but eventually I will have every copy of that card in a PSA 9 or near mint raw in a binder or something. So yeah. Can we interview you live? I have way too many questions, Mason. But that would be fun. I have I don't know how many more questions. I have a lot of questions to get through. Maybe if we have extra time at the end, somebody can hop on. I might get through them pretty quick. So maybe if we have time at the end. So that would be a hobby goal, a non-business related hobby goal. Why was this not a 24-hour stream? Fuck off. How's your enjoyment of the hobby changed? We kind of talked about it last night with Thrifty, but I feel like because I, to some degree, am so business oriented with the way that I view sets and the way that I think about cards and new sets and stuff like that, I do think that it has made me more critical of new sets when they come out because I know what works for me as a business. I know what cards I would like to see in new sets because I know that there are cards that I'll eventually be able to make a lot of money on. And when a set comes out and it doesn't have any of those cards or only has one of those cards, I'm way more critical on the set than a lot of other people. And I think that potentially that's either good or bad. I mean, I would like to see sets with cards that I think are going to make are going to be good business dealings in the future. But I also know that that doesn't make a set bad just because it doesn't have a lot of cards that I think are going to do well over time or that are going to do well as flips. That doesn't make a set necessarily bad. It makes a set bad for flipping, but it doesn't make a set bad overall. So it's a difference in how you just evaluate things. And so, and most of the time when I say a set is bad, I say that it's bad because from that perspective, I'm not saying that the artwork is bad or that the set is necessarily bad. I'm just saying it's a bad flipping set. And since the majority of what I do is flipping, then it kind of sucks from my perspective. But yeah, so yeah, that's probably, yeah. I would say I'm probably more critical of newer sets because I want them to be optimal for my business. And when they're not, it is unfortunate. Thank you, Grimer. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, dude. All right. Fuji-san. Card shop. Larry. What we got from Larry? What is your biggest fear for the hobby? What is something that could happen to the hobby that could bring you to eventually leaving the hobby? What's my biggest fear for the hobby? I mean, that it dies. That it, yeah, that's my biggest fear is that it basically dies out, that the interest disappears, that I'm holding on to a store or a bunch of inventory and demand disappears overnight and everything is kaput. Everything goes to shit. What are my other biggest fears for the hobby? Biggest fears for the hobby. One of my bigger fears for the hobby, and I've already seen it kind of with the way that some people talk about it, is this idea that the hobby is no longer for children and that it's an adult game now, and that who cares about the kids, because the kids with the amount of money that's involved with all this stuff, it's no longer a kid's game, it's an adult thing. And I think that we need to remember to coexist, because I think in the future, the future of the hobby is dependent on the children still being in it. And I think the mentality of like, as long as I can make money in it now, I don't really care what the future looks like. I think that's a scary and dangerous mentality and selfish mentality. And I hope that people don't lose touch with the fact that the kids are the future of the hobby. There wouldn't be a hobby. There wouldn't be a hobby without us as kids growing up and still enjoying it. So the fact that we are just like, yeah, fuck them kids, who cares? It's not a kid's hobby anymore. It's an adult's hobby. I think that's kind of a shitty attitude. I don't like it. I think it sucks. It's selfish. And I think that we should be thinking more about how can we facilitate the enjoyment of the hobby for children and not necessarily just for ourselves. But a lot of people, a lot of people are selfish nowadays, so I understand where they're coming from. I understand that everyone wants to have a successful business, and sometimes you have to be a little selfish to do that. But at the same time, like, the longevity of this hobby is with kids, and we need to continue to facilitate the enjoyment of the kids in the hobby if we want long-lasting businesses in the hobby. So I've already been seeing some stuff like that, and it's really unfortunate. But that's what I would say for biggest fear is that that sort of mentality spreads and becomes the majority, and then the future of the hobby is completely screwed because selfish adults decided that it was their hobby and it's no longer for kids. So that's what I would say. That's one of my bigger fears. And it's a fear because I've actually been seeing it occurring, and it sucks. What is something that could happen in the hobby that will bring you to eventually leaving the hobby? I don't know. At this point, I don't ever see myself completely leaving, like just leaving in general, unless it was like, I don't know, if barring like medical emergencies, or I don't have time anymore because I need to take care of other people, or I don't know. Like I said at the beginning, like, a lot of these people are my friends, and I haven't had like a friend group probably since high school. So having a friend group now, like, I want to hold on to that. And, Pokemon is a big part of that. So even if I wasn't as into the cards, I would still be a part of the hobby for the people, for the friends. So um I could still find some enjoyment in the hobby as long as the same people were around and we were all still friends. Um, but yeah, leaving, I don't see myself leaving anytime soon. I could see myself slowing down a lot, but yeah. Thanks, Java, and congrats. Appreciate it. Thank you for sending in some questions. Biggest fear is Thrifty yelling at me like she did the guy who scammed the kid. Yeah, just don't scam any kids, and Thrifty won't yell at you. Mason, Mason had a question. This is a fun one. Good question, in my opinion. Thank you for sending in a question. Mason, how would you say your connection and affinity for Japanese culture has affected your personal and professional life? Well, the fact that I literally don't want to and will not travel anywhere other than Japan, it's definitely affected me in that way. I've spent a lot of money traveling to Japan and enjoying different parts of Japan, and not going anywhere else, despite a lot of other places in the world being absolutely beautiful, and Europe and Hawaii and all these other places that I've thought about going. Somehow I just keep going back to Japan. So my affinity for Japanese culture has made it so that basically I don't want to spend time or money traveling anywhere else, which is something that I will probably change in the future, but that's definitely a part of it. Um, so that would be like personal life, professional life. I don't know if it has. I guess I grew up more around tech because I played a lot of JRPGs, so I played a lot of video games, and then kind of the video gaming kind of culture kind of led me into kind of the web design kind of designer phase. Like, I started using Photoshop, man, a long time ago. And what I started doing with Photoshop way back in the day was creating these like mashup movie posters. I used to take a video game, and I used to take a movie poster. Like, there's one that I have of, it was an old Godzilla poster. And instead of Godzilla, I made it a Super Smash Brothers poster. And in the where Godzilla is, I made it Bowser. And then I put all the other like characters on it, a couple of the stages, stuff like that. So I used to take movie posters and turn them into basically like parody versions with video game characters. And that kind of led me to using Photoshop a lot more, learning the program, and it probably somewhat led me into having some sort of artistic vision with things. Um, so probably that, and then anime. Like I got into anime. I would say heavily got into anime when Attack on Titan first came out, and then I've always been kind of an anime fan. Uh, so a lot of that culture is kind of seeped in, and I watch a lot of anime. I watch a lot of Japanese TV shows on Netflix and stuff like that. But yeah, professional life, I don't know if it really ties all that much to what I do as my profession. Obviously, with Pokemon, I flip and collect Japanese Pokemon cards and prefer the Japanese Pokemon cards over the English cards. So it definitely has influenced my business, my Pokemon card business, and the avenues I've chosen to go down with those. So yeah, um, yeah, I like that. Good question. Thank you, Mason. Hopefully that answered it well enough. I like this Nampi. Biggest fear for Java is a Bruxish focus set. Yeah, I mean if we go down the path where like Bruxish is the theme of a Pokemon card set, that might be my exit. That might be my exit. You're right. That might be what tilts me over the edge. It's very, very true. That might be it. That might be it. All right. Next up is from Beerski. Beerski. Hopefully this fits on one line. It probably won't. Oh, it did. Nice. Okay. Beerski. If you had to choose between modern, mid-era, and vintage, you can only grade, flip, and collect one for the rest of your time in the Pokemon hobby. Which would it be and why? Oh. It depends what we consider vintage. If we are considering vintage, the E series sets and older, like WotC era, but then I miss out on gold stars. It would probably be, I would probably say vintage. For the rest of my time in the hobby, am I trying to do business or am I trying to collect? If I'm trying to do business, I would choose modern. If I'm trying to just collect and grade and just enjoy the hobby and the things that I like, it'd probably be vintage because it would probably be E series and older. I think I would have a lot of fun going back and grading those cards and collecting those cards. But if it's flipping and trying to make money and having like a business that I can continue to like operate on, I would have to choose modern just because, modern is the newest thing and everyone likes it when it, for a couple months after it comes out, and you can take advantage of that, to make money. So I guess from those two perspectives, if I was collecting, it would be vintage, E series and back. If I was flipping and still doing business, it would probably be modern, despite not liking it modern as much as vintage, E series and back, or not having as much nostalgia, I should say, for the modern stuff. I do love the mid era, but the mid era just doesn't work for either of those. Like, I really like the mid era. Collecting mid era would be fun. I do really like how the mid era looks. I like how vintage looks better, especially Japanese. And you do have gold stars, and the EXs are cool. The black and white full arts are cool, but yeah. I think I'll stick with my answer. Cam sent me a question. We basically answered this already, but I will bring it up on the screen. Cam, What guest this month did you learn the most from and about? Um, so I guess, which ones did I learn the most about? Probably the people that I'd never met before or had any sort of conversations before. So Jodo Jake, I learned a lot about Jake. I learned a lot about Cam. I learned a lot about Skya. I learned a lot about Shug. Um, and then the three chats, Jeepster, Dylan, and Chibi. I learned a lot about those guys. So those guys, since I hadn't really talked to them in depth in person or on other lives or in Discords, I definitely learned a lot more about, and Thrifty as well, about kind of their past history, what they used to do, what they do for, a living, how that impacts the way that they do Pokemon now, like all that stuff. So I definitely learned a lot about all of those people, the people that I haven't had, in-depth conversations with in the past. And what guest did I learn the most from? Probably Chibi and Dylan. Definitely Chibi and Dylan. Yeah, definitely Chibi and Dylan, just because they were two very different people. Dylan is obviously not on. We already talked about Dylan. Chibi, Sam, he operates in the UK. It's very different. He operates on a higher level than most of. Well, I don't want to say that, but like he not higher level, more expensive level. I'm not really sure. I don't really want to compare people, but like a lot of the people I talk to, I don't think are operating on as high a level as Chibi Collectibles is in terms of money spent, just the expensiveness of the cards that he walks away from shows with, the art academies, all that type of stuff. So it was fun to talk to somebody who's that deep into it and who's been doing this for so long. Like he had been doing it for at least like 10 years, I think. So most of us got back in during the COVID era where Chibi Collectibles had been in it well before the COVID era, kind of like Dan in it since, 2016 or 14 or however long Dan was in it for. So yeah, it was interesting talking to those guys for sure. It was interesting when I answer these questions, I don't want anyone to think that, I'm not that like I didn't learn anything from the conversations with them or anything like that, but I'm just going based on the most. I learned from everybody. Everyone had their own unique ways that they interact in the hobby, and I definitely learned something from everyone. But this was the most. So Ibex, we just talked about this. Okay, Ibex sent me a question. Thank you very much for the question, Cam. I appreciate it. All right, Ibex. Damn it. You're going to have to clarify because I read this and then I was like, if you couldn't travel to any of the major cities, bigger cities in Japan, where would you visit and why? So are you asking me to go to a different country or are you asking me to go to a less populated place in Japan? That's what I was curious about. Because I don't know if I would know a lot of places that are smaller in Japan to be able to answer the question. Less populated place in Japan. I don't know what's considered a big city in Japan. Is Hiroshima considered a big city in Japan? Because I'm going there. Is that considered a big city? Yes. Okay. Damn it. Doesn't count. Shit. Most beautiful small towns in Japan. I'm gonna Google. Well, Kyoto comes up first. Oh man. I don't know. I don't know enough. I don't think I know enough of the smaller towns like by name. Oh, I don't know how big. I don't know how big the the city, like the Five Lakes towns are, but I want to do that trip someday. I need to get my international driver's license so that I can go to Tokyo and I can drive and do the five towns, five lakes around Fuji. That's one thing that I really want to do. Is the five lakes, five towns around Fuji. I don't think those are considered big cities, right? Or am I wrong? Are those big cities? Five lakes? Yeah. I think the five lakes tour would be amazing. I would love to do that someday. Um, that would be my pick. And I'm going to assume that those aren't considered big cities. I hope. We stayed at one of the lakes at Fuji, small city. All right. Yes. I picked that. I want to do the five cities tour or the five towns with the five lakes around Fuji. I would love that. I would love that. So someday I will do that. That would be amazing. That's my answer. I'm not sure if anyone answered where I would like to go if I didn't go to Japan, so I'll answer that too. I want to go to Hawaii. And I know that Hawaii is kind of like mini Japan. But I would really like to go to Hawaii because I feel like most people in my family have been to Hawaii and they all say that it's incredible. And I would really like to kind of, do the hikes. And I actually thought about one of the trips that I want to do with Hawaii is you can just rent like a camper van. When you get to the airport, you can just rent a camper van and you can just drive the camper van to like different campsites and stuff and just sleep in the camper van. And I thought about doing that for like a 5-day trip to Hawaii is just renting a camper van and um and just driving around and like booking campsites and trying to find like the most beautiful campsites or campsites next to like waterfall hikes and stuff like that. I think that would be really fun. So um hopefully someday I'll be able to do that. What up, Ern? We hit the goal. Thanks, guys. Keep crushing, man. Glad you stuck to the 30 days. I did. I did. Yeah, we're here. Day 30. All right. Ray. Ray has a few questions. So we're going to go one by one. First question is, do you have a set pattern in the way you move certain products? Sealed, slabs, raw. A set pattern in the way that I move sealed products. So not really. I basically sell all slabs on eBay for the most part, unless I sell some to Chef for his live stream. And I sell raw cards to Chef, or I consign them with Chef for the most part. All of this is going to change in a month or so. But right now, that's what I do. Sealed, I don't really hold sealed. I don't have a lot of sealed. But when I do want to sell something sealed, I just throw it up on my eBay. I don't have a whole lot of it, so it's usually just like, let me just throw one box up. Let me throw, 2 ETBs up or whatever and just sell through them. So most stuff goes through eBay. Some stuff sells through local shows. I haven't done any of those fairly, recently. And a lot of the raw stuff goes through Chef. And then there are some people that will reach out sometimes when they're in a pinch. Like Dan needed slabs for Ponga's, base set 2 break. And so he reached out and asked if I had any, at a certain percentage. And I did. So I sold some stuff to Dan. Occasionally something like that will happen. But for the most part, it's all eBay or Chef. And like I said, that's gonna change significantly coming soon. But we'll talk about that when it happens. Let's see. What is the next one? The next one from Ray is, what kind of analysis drives the decision you make? Gut feeling, historic market moves. Man, it's not a whole lot of analysis. Or maybe it is a whole lot of analysis, but it just kind of happens in my brain and I don't really know how to articulate it. But so one thing, and I've said this ever since, you know, I started this channel and I started making money on in Pokemon, was the first thing I did when I got in and wanted to start flipping is I went on a bunch of different ranking websites and I went through all the generations that were available at the time. And I listed out the top 15 to 20 most popular Pokemon from all the generations. And those are the Pokemon that I buy. I very rarely will buy a Pokemon that's not on those lists, because why would you? I don't. And that is one of the things that I've always stuck to ever since the beginning of my business and my flipping. And that is something that I will continue to stick to, because I think that it will continue to prove beneficial in the future to keep focusing on these Pokemon that are popular, because I think those Pokemon will stay popular. I don't think that there's going to be a major demand shift in most of the Pokemon that have been popular for over 10 years now. So, so yes, that you can still send it, Spat. I'll answer it at the end if you want to still send me one. But so yeah, that's analysis. Historic market moves, not really. I just go by my own analysis at this point. Like, I had a card that sold really well, and I sold like 7 of them in the past 2 weeks. So I bought more because it was like, okay, these are still cheap. People haven't caught on to how expensive these sell in PSA 10. This website has Pack Fresh. You know, I bought all these Pack Fresh. They still have Pack Fresh versions of this card up. So I'm going to buy more. And so I do that. So I keep track of things. That's why I keep my spreadsheets, because when I see, you know, 5 or 6 of a card that all sell in the span of 2 weeks, and they all sell for 200% profit margin, and they're still cheap on the different websites, I'm like, I'm buying more. Like, get out of my way. I'm going to buy 10 more. I'm going to buy 20 more. So I guess it's a historic market move, but it's not super historic. It's just kind of like, it's just kind of sales data. And, you know, the fact is, I just made 6 comps. So in the future, it's like, sure, the card might go down a little bit, might go up a little bit, but there's a lot of historic sales for this now, because I've literally sold 7 of them. So at the same price. So it's almost like, you know, I kind of set its floor to some degree, and now I'm going to buy more, essentially. So sometimes I do that. Gut feeling, not really. Sometimes I'll buy stuff that is really cheap, like singles of popular Pokemon that are like less than $3 to grade at CGC. And sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I don't know if this is going to work or not. Hopefully I get a pristine or 2. And then I get a couple of pristines. They sell for $50. And I'm like, damn, that worked out. Should I buy some more? Sure. So sometimes I do try things, but I always just try things based on the metrics that I already use. So I wouldn't buy like $2 singles of a Pokemon nobody cares about. It's going to be, you know, a Pokemon that's popular, because that's how I base basically all of my buying decisions off of. So it's, yeah, I would say that probably answers most of that. And then the last question is, I think I pretty much answered this with everything that I just said. But what does making plays look like to Java? Pretty much what I just said. Popular Pokemon. If I'm successful selling, you know, through 5 or 7 cards in PSA 10, and the profit percentage is high, I will buy more. And I'm basically just proving to myself that this works. Like, okay, I sold this card 7 times for $75. The card is only $9 raw right now. I'm going to buy 20 more, because that's a crazy percentage, and I'm happy with that, and we're going to keep going. So that's just what I do. But yeah, I feel like I pretty much explained all the plays that I make, or how I make those plays at least. So yeah, appreciate the questions, Ray. Oh, here you come. Last minute Spat with his last minute question. Last minute spat with his last minute question. All right. I made it. Hey, I'm very happy that like 90% of the people that I interviewed sent me a question. That is super awesome. All right, Skya. Skya, that one guy. Thank you very much for the question. What is your favorite item or top 3 if you can't choose just one in your personal collection? Okay, so one of the items in my personal collection, I can't show you all of them, but I can show you some of them. One of the items. Oh, actually, shoot. Okay. So these 2 games, my Pokemon Yellow CIB, complete inbox, very nice looking copy of Pokemon Yellow. I think there's super clean copy of Pokemon Yellow. This is the last surviving game from my when I had that collection of video games way back in the day that I have regretted selling basically every single day after I sold it. It's the last surviving game. I do have some consoles. You can see the consoles back there, like the Nintendo and the 64, and there's a Super Nintendo over here. So I do have some consoles still, but basically all the games got sold except for this special Pikachu edition yellow version. I kept this as like a memento from the collection, and yeah, this was like 10 years ago now. I think I bought this game, and it definitely holds a special place just because I regret selling that collection every single day. It was such a cool collection, and if I ever just had an insane stupid amount of money, I would try and recreate that collection in some way. I think that would be a lot of fun. I really like video games. Collecting video games is super cool. And this video game is a sealed Pokemon Green. So very nice copy. CIB has a sticker on the front and back, but Pokemon Green. So when I first went to Japan, my very first trip to Japan, I really wanted to find a Pokemon Green because Pokemon Green did not come out in the United States, and super huge Pokemon fan, especially of the games. So one of my goals going to Japan the first time was to find a nice looking copy, not sealed, but complete inbox Pokemon Green copy. And I had found one, I think it was at Super Potato or one of the game stores in Akihabara. I did find one, but I thought it was kind of expensive. So I said, you know what? If I don't find one in Kyoto, I will come back to Tokyo and I will buy the expensive one. And I went to Kyoto and I found one in Kyoto that was like half the price. It was like way cheaper than the one in Tokyo. So I bought that and I've had it in my collection ever since. So yeah, it's good stuff. Those are two of the things. So one of the things that I can't show you that used to be in the background. So if you go and look at my old videos, you'll see it. I have a life-size Yoda statue that was given out as a Pepsi company promotional item for Attack of the Clones. No, the first one, Phantom Menace. It was a Phantom Menace. It was sent out to theaters from PepsiCo, and it is a full-size Yoda. And my dad actually called me. I was at college, and my dad called me and said, "Hey, I'm at a garage sale, and this guy has a full-size Yoda statue, and it has like a base on it too that says Phantom Menace on it, and it has the Pepsi logo on the back." And he said it comes with a base. Do you want to buy it? And I was like, yes. How much is it? I will buy it no matter what. Like whatever it is, I want it. And I think I bought it for $220 or something. I think it was $220. And I was like, yes, buy it. Like, I'll come get it, buy it, anything. And so I've only seen 2 of the other. One I saw in Seattle, actually, at a comic kind of hobby shop down at Pike's Place Market in Seattle. I've seen one. It didn't have the base, but it's the same Yoda. And then someone in Discord, I forget if it's Peak or it might be Peak. Somebody else in Discord has one as well. I don't know if they have the base for it, but they definitely have the full size Yoda as well. The same Yoda. So that is another one that is in my personal collection that has some sentimental value. I've had it for a very long time. It's funny, every time I've moved with it, I put it in the passenger seat, and occasionally, like, when you move, you're like driving long distance, you have to get gas. So I would like pass people on the highway, and Yoda would be chilling in the passenger seat, or like I would stop for gas and Yoda would be chilling in the passenger seat. You get a lot of looks and a lot of laughs, and it's pretty funny. Um, uh, I think that's probably good. I think that's probably good for personal collection items. I do have some other stuff, but those are probably the ones that actually have like stories to them. So thank you for asking, Skya. Appreciate it. Next up, Hoodoo TCG. Hoodoo TCG. Hoodoo TCG. All right. Hoodoo TCG. Thank you for sending in a question. Money doesn't matter. What is a card you'd like to add to your collection that you can never sell? Money doesn't matter. So a card that I just like. I mean, um, first I'll go with the obvious example, Mario Pikachu, the full art Mario Pikachu. That is one that if money was no objective, like if it wasn't an expensive card, I would still own it because I just love it. Like if that card was $5, I would have one because I just love the card. I think it's so cool. Um, it's like 10K now in a 10, so that that doesn't help out that much. But that would probably be one. That's kind of like my Grail, I guess you could say. I really like the Rayquaza Gold Star. I really like the Gyarados Shining. I really like the Elottie Charizard. I really like the Crystal Charizard. I really like, obviously, I want a W stamp Charmeleon. If I could get a W stamp Dark Charmeleon in a 10, that would be sick. I don't know how expensive that is, but that would be a pretty sick card because it's my favorite. It's the rarest version of the card, and it's my favorite artwork. So that'd be cool. Yeah, probably one of those. But definitely the Mario Pikachu or the W stamp PSA 10 Dark Charmeleon. Faux show. Thank you, Hoodoo. Appreciate it. Oh man, Wonder. Okay, Wonder had a very long question. I feel like there's a question, so it's just gonna have to be 2 parts. What up, Mason? Mason's cat's walking over the keyboard. What's up, man? All right. It's probably going to get cut into multiple parts, but I'll just bring up the first part and then I'll read the second part. Hopefully, it doesn't get cut into 3 parts. Oh, it did. Okay. It got cut into 3 parts. So, okay. Life truly is a book that we write one page at a time. And as we write this book, we can often find peace and satisfaction with the progress we've made, yet somehow forgot. We must write in the peaks of the story, as the valleys will naturally present themselves. Inversely, however, the peaks rarely come without a focused vision and effort. You have a lot of great potential and a long life in front of you. What do you think is holding you back from writing, executing the peaks in the story of your life? Damn. What do you think is holding you back from writing, executing the peaks in the story of your life? That is some philosophical shit right there. um, man, let's see. Probably in a lot of ways, aversion to risk. So definitely aversion to risk. I have a very low threshold for risk. A very high aversion for risk. So I think another thing would be self-confidence. So I think my threshold for risk would be a lot higher if I had confidence in my abilities to execute things well. And I think a lot of times I don't. I need a lot of like external validation. Um because I don't have a lot of self-confidence when it comes to a lot of stuff. So that definitely holds me back, I would say. Um I think probably my oh man, we're really digging in, huh? I think my fear of future medical issues puts me in a position where I feel a little trapped and definitely more risk averse because I have had medical issues in the past, and I think with those medical issues, it's medical stuff that's never going to, ultimately go away and could come back at any moment. So it's one of those things that like it's always in the back of my mind, and I always feel I need to be prepared for that. So putting myself into risky situations is not best preparing myself for the potential medical issues, but I also don't know if those medical issues will ever happen. So it's one of those like, do you take the risk and hope that they don't happen, or do you prepare for them to happen? I don't know. That's where the lack of self confidence comes in. I get stuck between a rock and a hard place, and it makes it difficult to make a decision that you feel like you're doing the right thing. So that's tough. Um, I've said in the past, and I forget, I think it was in one of the 30 chats, but there's a part of me that likes kind of being a hermit, staying to myself, staying inside, hanging with my cats, not really going out or anything. But I think there is a part of me that needs to become more of a yes man person. People ask me to do something, I need to start saying yes more because I think it will open up more opportunities to meet people. And you never know what happens with those opportunities. But I think again that comes to the self confidence issues. So I hate being the center of attention. I hate being yeah. It just it freaks me out to be the center of attention. Um so yeah, so probably a lot of that stuff. Probably a lot of that stuff. But I'm working on it. Maybe. I'm working on some of it. I'm working on some of it. But yeah, if I was being completely honest, that those would be what I would say. A lot of that stuff. All right. Oak. Professor Oak himself sent me a question. Why did it cut the period? Okay. Well, interesting. All right. Is there a part or more than one of this hobby that you can imagine doing for the long term? 20 plus years. And if so, please tell us about it and how you envision your interaction with it. Um 20 plus years. I think I kind of mentioned this a little bit already, but I think just the personal friendship aspect of it, like even if I wasn't as much into cards, even if I wasn't um I think I would still really make an effort to go and hang out at the different conventions and hang out with the people because the people are super awesome. So I would say that the personal aspect side of it, 20 plus years is a long time. Hopefully I'm, well on my way to, retiring early. But if I'm not, then I think it would be cool to just keep flipping. Just keep flipping. You know, I don't have a lot of experience yet with the retail side of things. So if that goes well, that would be fun to have a successful shop that is uh, successful and continues to grow and get better and better, and ultimately becomes pretty self-sufficient. And I can just be kind of an owner that is there, that's running things more in the background than in the foreground. Um, but yeah, we'll see how that all plays out. But yeah, probably all that. I don't know. I don't know if I answered very well, but that would be my answer to that. We have a few other questions though, so we're going to keep going. We have some more questions from Oak. So the second question from Oak is, if you had to choose a generation or two to build a virtual reality Pokemon game around, which would you choose? Which generation do you think I would choose? Kanto, obviously. Either Kanto or Johto. If I was purely being selfish and it was being built for me, if I was like a multi-billionaire tech guy and I paid a bunch of people, I was like, build this virtual reality game for me, it would either be like an MMO where you could catch all of the Pokemon except for Bruxish. We would just delete Bruxish. Or it would be Kanto Johto, probably Johto, since Kanto's in Johto. It'd probably be Johto, just because I Harkle Soul Silver is my jam. I think Johto, those games, Gen 2, are crazy good. So yeah, if I had to pick one generation, it would be probably Johto. Probably a Johto or Gen 2. And next up, this one. What are the ways this hobby brings you joy currently? List them all for us with a brief explanation. So, talked about the personal side of things pretty heavily earlier with just the friend group. All that stuff is incredibly awesome. I get a lot of. I like making the videos. I think the videos would bring me more joy if I felt like I could be more creative with them and still get views. It kind of sucks to feel like you can't, you're kind of confined if you actually want to get viewership, which really sucks. So I think the videos sometimes can feel a little less inspired from me because I know what's going to get views and what isn't. And it sucks that a lot of my more creative ideas, I just feel like really aren't going to do very well, which really does suck. I mean, I wish it was the other way around, but it just kind of is that way. I've tried multiple times, and the creative ideas just don't rise above the normal CGC, PSA returns, and all that stuff. So, which is fine content too, but I just wish that more people were interested in the more creative videos that I do. So that could bring me more joy. The YouTube stuff could bring me more joy. But it still brings me joy. If I didn't have the YouTube stuff, it would probably not, I probably wouldn't be in the hobby, at least the same way that I am. Like, I probably wouldn't be in all these Discords. I probably wouldn't be friends with the people that I would say that I'm friends with, because I probably would have never actually met a lot of the people. I wouldn't have interacted with them online, just because I was so reserved back then. I was so afraid of wasting people's time, and that if I wasn't making my own videos and then collaborating with people, I don't think I probably would have the friend group that I have now. So yeah. What else brings me joy in the hobby? Bank account go up. That brings me some joy. I like that the hobby can facilitate travel and a lot of the things that I'm really passionate about that I like to do that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So the fact that I'm even able to do an international trip every year is awesome, and it's very, very much Pokemon is the reason I get to do that with so comfortably. So yeah, Pokemon affords me a lot of things, and it's created a lot of friendships, and yeah, all that stuff. All that stuff. BB has a follow up on what I was talking about. Is the actual problem that the creative ideas don't fit the algorithm feeder that you've built, so it goes against your trends? Does it require many creative videos in a row? I don't think so. I think it's just, well, potentially. I don't, I don't know, but I think for the most part, people watch you for certain stuff. Like people watch like the stuff that does the best on my channel is the business content. So the top flips, the talking about the business, vending videos do well. Um, the flipping stuff, PSA returns because it ties into the flipping, CGC returns because it ties into the flipping. Like that stuff all does pretty well. And to be fair, I haven't done like what I would consider, a super creative video in a while. I do have some that I'm working on right now that I think are more creative than stuff that I've done in the past. So hopefully fairly soon I will have those out. But I would say, when was the last time I did a video that I think was truly creative? Um, keep going and going and going. Uh, it's been a while. It's definitely been a while. Is it going to be the one that I did with my grandma? It is. Okay, so the last one that I think was truly a creative video was the one that I did with my grandma. And the video that I did with my grandma, like compared to a lot of the other videos that came out, I thought that video was awesome. I thought the thumbnail was awesome. I thought the video was awesome, but it just didn't do anything. But I think it's an amazing video, and I wish more people had watched it. I also did a video where if I opened a hit out of Obsidian Flames, I had to eat hot sauce. Um, that was a more creative one that I tried. Or if there wasn't a hit, I had to eat hot sauce. And the thumbnail I think is really good, but it didn't do as well. So I've tried to do some stuff in the past. The videos where my cat chooses like which which products I'm gonna buy. Like I've tried to do some interesting things, but they just get dwarfed by a lot of the other stuff that I do on a more regular basis, I guess. So maybe it's a regularity type thing. Like if I did more creative stuff more regularly, maybe that would, I don't know, maybe that would do well. I'm not sure. Why don't you do a separate channel where you do more creative videos? Well, because that would take a lot of work to try and do like a regular schedule on a second channel. But like I said, I have some creative stuff or some more interesting stuff I think coming up, and hopefully people will enjoy those. We'll see how they do. Create shorts to drive traffic to the full-length videos. I don't think that actually works. I don't think that shorts drive people to watch full-length videos, but I could be proven otherwise, but I don't think that actually works all that well. I think shorts people like watching shorts, and long form video like watching long form, and there's not a whole lot of crossover with the two. So I've had shorts in the past that pop off and get like crazy views, that I get a bunch of subscribers from those shorts, and then I don't see any sort of bump on my long form videos at all. Like my next long form video that comes out, normal views, not a single no bump. So I do think that there is some overlap, but it would be really interesting to see like Deep Pocket Monster, if he felt like his normal videos were getting a bump from his shorts channel that is it's like 1.5 million subscribers or something like that right now. So that would be interesting. That would be interesting. But yeah, we'll see. All right, Legend of Luke. Oh boy, this is gonna get people. This is gonna get people fiery. This is gonna get people fiery. Legend of Luke. Java is in the name. So tell us, how do you take your coffee? What is the best type of coffee you've ever had? He did this on purpose. Luke did this on purpose. I know he did. I know he did. So what's the best type of coffee I've ever had? I think it's less about the type of coffee and more about when I'm drinking it. There are some mornings, and I'm sure you guys, if you drink coffee, you know, there are some mornings that are particularly rough wake ups that once you brew that coffee, it's like, oh, sounds like it just hits different. And I would say too, like some of the mornings in Japan when you go out to the not the convenience store, but the things, the machines, when you go out to the machines and you get a boss coffee from the machines, and you're walking around and it's cold in October in Japan and you're just walking through like Asakusa with a boss coffee that's hot out of the machine, that hits different. That hits different. But when it comes to just regular coffee at home, I cycle between different kinds. So obviously the meme is that I drink Folgers. I do sometimes get Folgers. I do sometimes get Maxwell House. I do sometimes get I got, what's the yellow can one? Bustelo or something like that. I have tried some Bustelo recently. I think my favorite of the three is still Maxwell House. I would have to try Folgers again. It's been a little while. But, and then usually I have like an almond milk creamer and I just do some coffee with a little almond milk creamer and we're good. But yeah, best cup of coffee is just a coffee that hits different in the particular, the particular morning that's particularly tough, or cold mornings in Japan or something like that, where you hit the vending machine, you get the boss coffee, and life is good. Life is good. All right. Dude buys Folgers and changes the label. No, I don't. I could literally, okay. Now I have to justify it because you guys, look at this. Look at this. I don't have Folgers in my house right now. I have Cafe Bustelo and I have Maxwell House. These are the two that I currently have. I don't even have Folgers in the house right now. Okay? So, there. I'm evolving. I'm trying more coffees just because of you. Folgers alt arts. Yes, exactly. Folgers alternate arts. Find those in the recycling bin and put Folgers in it. No. Okay. Next up. Luke out here trying to start something. Punga. All right, Ponga. After going through interviews for 30 days, what have you realized your strengths and weaknesses are when interviewing somebody? Oh boy. My weaknesses, especially at the start, was I'm horrible at small talk. I freaking hate it, small talk with other people. I would much rather just stand there silently than try and fill dead space with small talk. So something that I've been horrible at is small talk. I do think that over the course of the interviews, I got better at it. One of the things one of the skills I think, especially when you're interviewing somebody, but just when you're talking to somebody, is like the active listening. Like, and not just like you have to listen to somebody, but the idea that like you have to listen intently enough to be able to follow up what they say with a relevant question to what they just said. So you have to not only be listening, but your mind also has to be forming the next question before they're done talking to keep the flow. There are definitely times where I have completely dropped the flow because I can't think of another question. There's definitely times where I have cut interviews early because I ran out of questions and I couldn't think of anything else because my brain was too tired. So those are things, the whole like active listening and kind of thinking ahead to the next question before the person's done answering your last one is tough and like constantly keeps you moving. Um, so yeah, that's tough. Strengths are, I don't know. I don't know if I have much for strengths when it comes to interviewing people. I just wanted to do it because I thought it would be fun. So it's, I don't know. I don't know what my strengths in interviewing would be. I don't know if I have strengths when it comes to interviewing. I don't know. Like in terms of interviews, I don't know if the chats that I did would be considered good interviews. I think they would be considered fun and informative chats. But in terms of interviews, I don't know if they would be considered good interviews. Um, uh, I don't know. I don't know what my strengths would be for the interviews. I think maybe like a genuine interest to want to learn, or like a genuine interest in the people that I'm talking to. And that was a deliberate choice. I wanted to talk to, and again, like if I didn't reach out to you, it's not because I don't think you're interesting. I don't want people to think that, but I I reached out to people that I honestly thought I could learn from, that they do something different from me in a way that I could actually uh like pick up something new for myself or for my business. And a lot of the people brought their own unique perspectives. So maybe choice and guess. I feel like I did pretty well choosing a bunch of people that didn't just all do the same thing. And I felt like all the conversations were different. I don't think there were any conversations where I felt like, oh, they could just skip this one because we talked about all the same things we talked about with this other person. I feel like I feel like everybody in their own way brought something new and fresh and different to the conversation. So maybe a strength would be choosing the right people to talk to. Guest choice, I guess. I guess. Um, should have brought Andy Milanakis on. Uh, I mean, there are definitely people. Like I said with Oak, I wanted to talk to people who I felt were genuine people and not just people who were like characters of people. Um, because I don't think that would have been particularly interesting for me, and I don't think that would have been particularly interesting for because I wouldn't have been interested in those conversations. I don't think they would have been good conversations to have in front of people to like force them. Uh, so I do think there are particular YouTubers that probably ham it up a bit more, and I just wouldn't really care to chat with them about these kind of serious subjects or more serious subjects. How can I unbend my card for grading? You can't. Good luck. I don't know. Is it warped or is it bent? If it's bent, you're screwed. If it leaves a crease, if it's warped, warping really doesn't matter. You can send warped cards to PSA and still get tens. If it's bent, and it has a crease in it, you're screwed. Warped. If it's warped, just put it in a book for a little while or just send it. Yeah. You don't have to worry about a warped card. Warping usually doesn't have, I mean, unless it's like curled, if it's like super curled, but if it just has like a slight warp to it, just put it in a top loader or a card saver and send it. And usually you don't have to worry about that. They usually don't mark down for it. So you should be all right. All right. I think I got all that question. Chef. Pokey Chef. Pokey Chef. Pokey Chef. What are some things that you've done for yourself or for your business that are completely outside of your comfort zone, but have positively impacted yourself and your business? So basically, when did I push past the point of uncomfortability with like risk or whatever, and it was beneficial? Hmm. Uh, I think before Supercharged Breaker, I really didn't buy. I didn't like the idea of buying the hit card, like the most expensive card in the set, to grade and flip. Before Super Electric Breaker, I really didn't do that at all. I know that other people did, but to me, spending that much money on a single card that I knew was going to come down over time just didn't seem like a good idea. Um, but with Super Electric Breaker, I decided to buy a bunch of the Pikachus, and that ended up working out great. And so the next set, I decided to buy a bunch of the Umbreons from Terrasil Festival, and that also ended up working out great. So I kind of pushed past my uncomfortability on spending more money than I usually do on those hit cards to make those plays, and those ended up working out. Now, whether or not they would have worked out if we were in a different environment, that's totally different. But for the environment that we went into after those sets came out, obviously it helped out a lot. I don't know how effective those plays would have been if we didn't go into a boom shortly after I made those plays, but that's something that I'd never done in the past and was worried about doing, but I did it anyway, and it ended up working out. So it might be something that I do again in the future when we're in an environment that's not completely insane like we are right now. But yeah, definitely positive. Definitely made a lot of money. Oh yeah, I forgot that Chef sent in like 4 questions. All right. All right, next question. Since working with myself, how has that accelerated your business in any way? I don't know if it accelerated my business. I would say that it so I was a little worried with the prospect because I had gotten used to my 2 years at the comic book shop where I sold my grading misses. And when that shop went out of business, it was a big hole in my kind of passive income that I was generating with that shop. And so I was able to then, you were starting up your stream or you were already, a few months into streaming, and I saw it as an opportunity, or we saw it as an opportunity to not only benefit you but also benefit me, and it's been working out really well. So that transition from the shop going out of business to being able to sell a lot of my singles through you really kind of smoothed out that process and made it so that I took a lot less of a hit than if I was just out that business and then didn't find another avenue to be able to sell those things. So I would say that definitely fixed that, and that has been super helpful when it comes to kind of the passive income side being lost from the comic book shop but being picked up by you in your stream. So it's definitely been beneficial, very beneficial for me. Let's see. Next question from Chef. What is one common denominator you gather after interviewing so many amazing people, or what is one main takeaway after all these interviews? Um, Common denominator or main takeaway? I would say Common denominator. I think just about everybody that I talk to said in one way or another that the people part of it is the most important thing for them in Pokemon. It wasn't the money, it wasn't the flipping, it wasn't the it was the people. It's like I think a lot of these people, even if you told them like, yeah, you can go to Collecticon, but you can't sell and you can't buy. You're just gonna go and hang out with people. I think a lot of the people I talked to over this past month would be happy to go anyway because I think they're in it. I think one of the biggest things that it gave all of us or most of us is an outlet to hang out with people who think the same way that we do or have uh, similar hobby interests, like a starting point essentially to getting to know people. So I think almost everybody I talk to may like put a massive emphasis on the people being the best part of the hobby and the enjoyment that they get from hanging out with people during collecticons and stuff was some of the most enjoyment that they get from those interactions. So I think that that's probably the common denominator in the interviews. And yeah, the last question is, what is one thing you've learned from interviewing so many people? I think, I think, I think that probably. I think those are similar questions. I would give almost the same answer. Okay, Johto Jake. Thank you for sending in a question. Oh, oh boy, this is good. This might take me a little bit. What is your Infinity Gauntlet of Sword and Shield alt arts and why? Oh no. Top 6 alternate arts of the Sword and Shield era. Jesus. That's too much. That is too much. Of the Sword and Shield era. So the alternate arts start in Battle Styles. So in Battle Styles, you had the Urshifus, you had the Sleepy Tea. So one of them would definitely be the Umbreon V from Evolving Skies. I would say that's definitely number one. I would say maybe the Sleepy Tea because it's the first of the alternate arts that people were super excited about. So I would say this. I would say the Sleepy Tea. I would say the Umbreon V alternate art because I think the V is miles better than the V Max in terms of its artwork. I really like the whole, ruler of the night, sort of boss of the mafia sort of thing that Umbreon has going in that artwork. Chilling Rain, I don't think had any that stand out to me at all. I think they were all pretty mid, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but I think Chili. Yes, thank you, BB. The Moltres V in Chilling Rain. I love that card. That card is sick. I love the. I'm a sucker for symmetry, and the colors and the detail and everything in that card, and then the fact that it's pretty much symmetrical 1-to-1. That is a sick card. I really like that one a lot. So the Sleepy Tea, the Moltres, the Umbreon V, the Charizard, because it's Charizard, and it's a really great artwork of Charizard and Venusaur. Pretty sick. That's 4. Let's see what else. What else is in the? Let's see. My pinky is freaking out. All right, that's 4. What else do we have? Okay, Astral Radiance is kind of dog water. I like the Aerodactyl V. I think the Aerodactyl V is sick. I love that car just because of its Jurassic Park type theme. I think that card is incredible. It's amazing. It looks great. I think in terms of Lost Origin, I think that one's probably my favorite. Despite I do like the Giratina V a lot. I think it looks really good as well. But I think the Aerodactyl V, I think, beats that out. So those 5 so far. And then let me take a look at Silver Tempest. I do like the Lugia, but I don't know if I would choose that one over some of the other ones that I've already skipped over. But I do like the Lugia a lot. I think it is quite good. I like the Gengar as well, but I don't know if I would choose that over some of the ones that I've already skipped. I already said Charizard from Brilliant. That was number 3. And then what's considered? Are the gold cards from Crown Zenith considered alternate arts because they're in the trainer gallery or the Galarian gallery? Do we still consider those? If we consider those, I would say I don't know what's considered out of the Galarian gallery to be alternate arts, but I would say probably the Arceus gold card from Crown Zenith if we're considering those. I like the Giratina too, but I particularly like the Arceus. I think that looks really good. I would say those. I would say those 6. Those 6. Yeah, the promos are fire. I don't know if I can choose those, but the promos from Java looks like a Sandaconda. No, I hate Sandaconda. Stupid. Arbok already exists. Why do we need Sandaconda? It's just dumb. All right, next up. Thank you, Jodo Jake. All right, Pokey BB. Pokey BB. Let's go. Let's see. What do we got? If you could hit pause for 1 year on your current job and your Pokemon business and had to pursue a completely different passion, what would that be? Holy moly. A completely different passion. I had to pursue a completely different passion. It says Pokemon business. Business. And my job. It had to pursue a different passion. Is this I have to make money? Like I have to make full-time money doing it? Or it's just a passion? Like I just like for 1 year I have all the money I need and I just pursue a passion. Because if it's that, if like all my money and stuff is paid for and I can just pursue a passion, I would probably do like assume money not an issue. I would try and do some like travel vlogs, like Anthony Bourdain style travel vlogs. I think Anthony Bourdain's probably, I don't know. He's the only uh celebrity that has died that I was like, man, that sucks. Like actually legitimately sad that guy died because his travel vlogs and the way that he incorporated culture into the food side of his shows was just incredible. I thought he was easily the best to do any of those cooking travel shows. He actually seemed like he gave a shit instead of just making the shows and being too loud and rambunctious and trying to make an entertaining thing. He just went and like soaked up the culture. He just put himself in the culture instead of like the culture having to conform to his attitudes and his stuff. Like he very much was a sponge. And I think that Anthony Bourdain is missed very well, very, very missed. So I think if I just had a year and you were like, just do whatever you want, I would probably try and do a couple of those. Some sort of vlogs that I could immerse myself in a culture and try and show it from my point of view. I think that'd be cool. Should have played the video. Yeah, BB was the one that sent the video. It was very funny. I appreciate that, BB. Dodgeball ref. Pole Father's on one tonight. All right, this one's from Dan. Catch 'em all collectibles. If you could give day one Java 3 pieces of advice aside from buy XYZ, what would they be? 3 pieces of advice to day one Java. Don't rip product to try and make money. That would be one. That'd be my first. Stop ripping product, you idiot. What other 2 other pieces of advice? I don't know. What would the 2 other pieces of advice be? I would say maybe maybe get over the idea that people who have more subscribers or get more views than you don't want to talk to you, or you're wasting their time, or like that type of stuff, because doing some more collaborations early on would have probably been good for the YouTube stuff. But I think that I was too worried about coming off as like a clout chaser or a that type of stuff. So I wanted to build my own kind of subscriber base before I actually started reaching out to people, because I felt like I was not successful enough to have these conversations with these people. So that was probably a thing. Just like get over that. That was a thing that I took in from Twitch. That's horrible idea, horrible thoughts. And what would be the other thing? Don't meet Grimer. Yeah, there you go. I don't know what the other thing would be. I'm not sure. The third thing to tell myself. I feel like I did a lot of things. I feel like apart from ripping a lot of product at the beginning, I feel like I did a lot of things right. I guess I would tell myself, don't buy those Mario Pikachus from Bai. Don't buy those fake Mario Pikachus from Bai. Yeah, probably that. If I was to give myself like a 1 year in advice, I would say don't be so risk averse. Spend more of your business money, you fool. Something like that. But yeah. But I think I think I might have progressed a little slower than people because of my risk aversion. But I also probably am more set on the right track right now because of my risk aversion. So it's hard to say like being risk averse was bad in any way or that I should have changed it. I think that I think it was probably good overall, but I do think I missed out on some opportunities because I was so risk averse. So yeah. All right, not last question, because I have Spat's question as well. This is from Thrift. Actually, hold on. We're going to do Thrifty's question last because it's funny. So Spat. This is from Spat. He got his question in at the last moment. Spat. If you had to give up one of the two, content creation around Pokemon cards or flipping Pokemon cards, which would it be? Content creation. Definitely the content creation. I think a lot of the fun stuff that I get to do is because I'm successful flipping Pokemon cards. So traveling, going to shows, buying and selling, I still would like an avenue for that. So if you said like you have to get rid of one, I would stop making videos probably. Because the videos, as much as I love making videos personally and I love cataloging my journey and I love that I'm able to help a lot of people, at the same time, it's like I don't make up, barely any money from it. And it's more of just like a passion project, which is good. I like having a passion project, but the money that I get from flipping cards allows me to do so many cool things that if I had to get rid of one, I would get rid of the content creation. Vitalik, he's been to every single one of these chats. Thank you very much, Vitalik. I appreciate it. What advice do you give to new collectors in the hobby? It's tough. I feel like it's the same stuff that everyone always says. Don't open products for value. Honestly, if you're a collector, opening products is just not a good idea in general. If you like opening products, like that's great. If you like the gamble, that's great. Just know that you're going to lose money. Be patient because the market ebbs and flows, and at some point the market will be down again. And there's going to be a lot of stuff that is expensive now that is not going to be as expensive in the future. So if you really want something but you don't have the money for it, be patient, wait, and eventually, hopefully, it will come down in price and you will be able to buy it and enjoy it. I think that the whole FOMO thing, don't FOMO. Go to events, go to local shows, go to collect cons if you can, but definitely check out your local show scene. Put yourself out there, ask vendors, just ask a vendor like, how you doing today? What are sales like? What are you selling the most of? What do you find is popular? Like strike up a conversation with someone who's just chilling there and see if they want to talk Pokemon and just go from there. If you're coming in fresh, there's a lot of like easy questions that you can ask to strike up conversations with vendors and people are just chilling. Have fun. If you find yourself not having fun, then find a different approach. Maybe if you're ripping product and you're not pulling what you want, buy the single. It's probably better to do anyway. But join different discords with different people. Talk in those discords. Put your opinions out there, even if you're new and you feel like the question's already been answered 1,000 times, like ask it anyway. Most of the discords you're not going to get, laughed at or made fun of for asking, a usual question. Stay away from the pokey investing Reddit. Actually, just stay away from Reddit in general. Stay away from Reddit in general. That's probably a good idea. I can't really think of anything else. Just have fun. Yeah, just have fun. But I think a lot of that probably is decent for the question. And thank you, Vitalik, for being at all of these. I really appreciate it. Thrifty. All right. Final question is from Thrifty. She did send a funny question, but we're just going to hit the actual question. Actually, let me take a look and see what the funny question was again. Oh yeah, we're not going to do the funny question. It was funny for me. It doesn't have to be funny for everyone else. All right, here we go. Thrifty coming in hot. Actual question. Who are 3 people you wanted to interview still that you didn't hear back from? Let's start some shit. Okay. 3 people that I wanted to interview that I didn't hear back from. I don't know if I had 3 people that I didn't hear. Oh no. Well, I definitely had 2. So, and it's okay. It's fine that I didn't hear back from these people. They're very busy people. One person that I really wanted to talk to because I feel like we could have had a fun, interesting conversation was Coop Collections, Coop Collective, Coop. I wanted to talk to Coop. I think that what he's doing with, I mean, he's just blowing up like crazy. That would have been a fun conversation. I think we would have had a really interesting chat. Because of all the vending stuff that he's doing and how he's approaching vending versus how someone like Bulbasaur is approaching vending is really interesting to me, kind of because I already talked to Bulbasaur. It would have been fun to talk to Coop, but Coop never even saw my DM. So he never got back to me. Let's see, who else? Randolph Pokemon. Randolph, I really wanted to talk to Randy because he's another person who obviously he started his own grading company. I would have talked to him about Ace. I would have talked to him about, experiencing, theft with his company, doing business in the UK, doing more vending stuff. He's been vending a lot more. Even with our group, he's been vending a lot more. But I didn't hear back from Randy. I got left. He didn't even read it, so can't really blame him if he didn't even see the DM. But didn't hear back from him. And the other person who I didn't hear back from, was Deep Pocket Monster, Pat. It would have been fun to talk to Pat about Card Party, his shorts channel blowing up, how he generates his ideas for his main channel, stuff like that. So, yeah, those 3 people I think would have been interesting conversations because they would have filled in different gaps. Like I had a lot of vending people, but I didn't have any like vending POV, like big vending POV people, even though I talked to Bulbasaur fairly recently. I did talk to Sam, which was great to get the UK perspective, but Randy would have been interesting to talk to him about his grading company and stuff. And then Pat, obviously, about content creation, stuff like that. So those 3 guys I reached out to and never got a response. There were people that I reached out to and were just told no. Not in a mean way or anything. They just didn't want to do it, which is totally fine. And I'll probably just not say them because it was nice of them to. I will say though, I will call someone out. All right, I will call someone out. I will do it. There's one person that I asked, and I'm going to say that this person is very busy, and I obviously, it would have been difficult for them, but I got an excuse instead of a reason. I got an excuse instead of a reason, okay? And it was James, Z&G Emporium. Calling you out, James. I would have loved to talk to you about your consignment business. I know that you're a super busy guy. But he didn't ever really say no. That was kind of the issue. I didn't push the issue. He didn't seem like he was interested, but he didn't ever say no. So maybe he was just trying to let me down lightly. But he did say like, oh, last time I tried to do this live, my internet wasn't working very well, like stuff like that. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then that's just kind of where it ended. There wasn't ever really like a yes or no or like confirmation or decline, and I didn't really want to push the issue. So that back and forth just kind of died, which is fine. I still love you, James. You're amazing. I'm glad I got to see you in Chicago. But yeah, I would have loved to chat with you about your consignment business. That would have been really fun. But it's okay. It's okay. Maybe next time. Maybe next time. I'd do a little call out. Maybe next time, James. I appreciate it though. Me and James are still cool. There's no beef. There's no drama. Okay. There's no drama. We're cool. It's all in good fun. But yeah, it's good stuff. Now call out other people. Why? Why do you want me to call out more people? There wasn't really anyone. Like, some people just said no, and that's fine. And they had their own reasons for not wanting to. And there wasn't really that many people that said no. That's the crazy thing. Like, pretty much everyone that I asked said yes. And it was the people that said no were more just like, I'm busy, or I don't like doing the live chats, or just that type of thing. That stuff's totally fine. But there wasn't really, there was maybe like a handful, at most 5 probably, people that just said no, that they weren't interested. So, all right. And that's it. I think that's the last question. So yeah, I mean, obviously 30 days, 30 chats, it's over. It's done. It's thank God. Tomorrow I can go to bed at 9 p.m. I'm going to go to bed so early tomorrow. It's going to be so nice. But yeah, really appreciate you guys. Everyone that stopped by during all of these. Nan P, you were at almost all of them, if not all of them. Got to shout out Vitalik, all these people in chat, and everyone that hopped on. Some people last minute, like BB, literally like an hour and a half before we went live. He asked his wife if he was allowed to, and not allowed to, but you know, his wife graciously allowed him to chat with me that night, on a Friday night of all nights, where you're just supposed to hang out and have fun and just chill. BB hopped in to save the day. And yeah, I appreciate everybody that hopped on, that made it work. I mean, Luke, we just talked to Luke, and Luke literally had a baby like 2 weeks before I talked to him. Like, he had to move. They had to do like a little 3-way switcheroo, because Luke was like, or no, that was somebody else. That was yeah. I mean, there was some switching that happened. There was, I mean, but it all worked out, and it's amazing that everyone, I don't know, 30 people, 29 people said yes to chatting with me for an hour and a half or 2 hours. And somehow we made it work for 30 days in a row, 29 days in a row. Pretty crazy. So yeah, it was super fun. I'm glad it's over, but I'm glad we did it, because I learned a lot, and everyone I talked to was super awesome, and I'm glad that people enjoyed it, and hope you guys have a good night. Monday, big announcement. I'm going to try and make the announcement video for Monday. Big announcement. A lot of you already know about it. If you don't already know, I mean, Thrifty knew about it, and I didn't even tell Thrifty. So I don't know how Thrifty knew about it, but somehow Thrifty knew about it. But I've been kind of teasing it on my Instagram, putting it together, but I'll do an official announcement video for Monday. So yeah, appreciate you guys. We'll see you Monday. And I hope you guys have a great night and weekend. All right. Bye-bye.